All right, hello everybody. We're here today for another installment of Emergency Preparedness 101. Today we're going to be talking about how to build a kit for both evacuation as well as shelter in place. I'm Lori Hodges. I'm the Emergency Management Director for Larimer County, and I'm joined here with Ricardo Perez.
Hi everyone, I'm Ricardo Perez and I'm the Communications and Community Engagement Coordinator here for Larimer OEM. All right, so we're gonna be talking about considerations for both evacuation kits and then shelter in place kits as well.
So where we want to start is we want to start with some resources for you. We're not going to talk today about every specific item that you need in your kit, because that is going to be very dependent upon each family. So instead, we want to share you some resources of some checklists that are available to you. And then we're going to go over some specific considerations of things that we think are important to include in both the shelter in place and evacuation kit. So a couple of key resources that are available to you. One is a Colorado resource and one is a federal resource. The Colorado one is from the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. If you go to, if you just Google Colorado Be Prepared, this will come up. And I'm going to show you the website now so you can see what we're talking about and you can see what resources are available to you. If I can get the Zoom not to hide my screen. So this is the Colorado Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management website for Be Prepared. And what I like about this website is that it has several different options for making a plan for evacuations or for preparedness planning. So there's the personal plan, animal planning, financial planning, neighborhood planning, school and business planning. They also have a whole section for people with disabilities. So if you have a family member that lives with you or somebody that's staying with you that might have disabilities, this person and yourself might benefit from looking at this checklist here on different types of planning needs for people with disabilities. This website also has information on how to stay informed and then also how to get involved. So this is one good resource for you in making a plan and being prepared that I wanted to show you. The other one is the ready.gov website, which is a federal website. And again, the Zoom is making it hard for me to switch. The ready.gov website has a bunch of information and it has checklists on what to put in a kit, how to build it, how to make a plan. And then it also has information below about specific types of hazards. So there's a lot of good information on both of these websites that are available to you. So I wanted to share that first off, that you can go to those to get additional information. Locally here in Larimer County, we have the Larimer County Emergency Management website, which is just larimer.gov/emergency. And as you see on that website, if you scroll down, we have 4 different phases of emergency management. And on the left is the plan and prepare. Under here, if you go to Larimer County Emergency Preparedness Guide, it's going to take you directly to our new Emergency Preparedness Guide that is going to be available in both English and Spanish. And this guide on page 55, it starts off with different types of checklists for how to build an emergency preparedness kit. So this will be a one-stop shop for you. It has information about agriculture, pets. It has a bunch of information about special considerations. So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint right now. We'll go into this a little bit more for you. I don't know why it goes back to the beginning, but let's go to the next thing. So we're going to first talk about the evacuation kit planning, and then we'll go into the shelter in place because that's a little bit more comprehensive.
All righty, so some things to think about for your evacuation kit is you will most likely not need so much supplies or any resources in that sense, because shelters will most likely have food available, water. It is super important to make sure that you have access to money and any cash or credit is going to be essential. Also, make sure to take important documents such as medical insurance, home insurance, passports, IDs, things of that sort. So, and another kind of thing to think about is if you have somebody in your home or you have a disability and kind of need to be thinking about any medical equipment, any medical supplies such as inhalers, oxygen tanks, any medical equipment that is essential for your well-being. Make sure to take those as well. And then also your phone and a way to charge your phone, obviously. So any batteries for radios or flashlights as well. And then last part is just the make sure you have a place to go if possible. A little bit of planning ahead of time will definitely help in this case.
So a few things to remember here for evacuation kit planning is a lot of your important documents can be stored in the cloud or online somewhere. That way it's one less thing that you have to try to remember grabbing before you leave for evacuation. So consider that in your planning. What can you actually put into a folder or a document that you can keep on the cloud that you can access later, whether it's Google Drive, Dropbox, or any number of other options that are available to you. So your important documents, such as your medical insurance, a copy of your ID, home insurance, or any other contacts, that's really good information to just have available to you wherever you're at. Another thing to have available is your medication list. So you might not have access to all your medications, especially if you leave quickly and you didn't think to take something. Having that list available to you of the types of medication and the doses is going to be very helpful. And if you have multiple doctors, knowing which doctor you get each medication from will also help you. But keeping that list outside of the home so you don't have to try to figure it out when you're evacuating is one less stressor. So those are just a couple of key items that I wanted to point out regarding evacuation planning. All right, so let's talk about shelter-in-place kits. In this case, you're going to be staying at your home for an extended period of time. In hurricane states, as we've said in previous videos, they usually talk about a 72-hour kit. Here in Larimer County, we really want you to think about a week-long kit. The reason for this is because the hazards that we're most likely going to have here in Larimer County are, one, we're going to have winter storms or blizzards, something that's going to keep you from leaving your home because there's a hazard outside. The second one is we are a flood county. We have 3 major river systems in the county, and we have flooding every year. So we could have a big enough flood like in 2013 where roads are destroyed and you can't leave your home, not because the home itself is not safe, but because the roads themselves can't get you out. So you will want to have enough for an extended stay. So think about at least a week's worth of supplies for you and your family to shelter in place. So some key considerations here for shelter in place. One is every household should have a weather radio for emergency information, emergency notifications, and weather updates. This is a very good tool for you. It can be solar, it can be battery operated, but it can be the one thing that can get you information when everything else fails. A weather radio isn't that expensive. You can get it at your regular box stores like a Walmart, Target for maybe $10. If you cannot afford that, we can get you a weather radio here in emergency management. Give us a call and we can try to arrange that for you. Other safety supplies that you should have in your home are your regular home safety supplies. So a first aid kit should be available to you. A fire extinguisher should be available to you. Also a CO detector is also very good, especially if we have severe weather. Other supplies that you should consider in your kit is a manual can opener. A lot of people don't think about this until they're in an emergency and then they have all this great canned food and they're ready to go and then they have no way to open those cans because the only can opener in the home is dependent upon power. So when we're thinking about shelter in place, you also want to consider whether you're going to be in a power outage at the same time. You also want to know how to locate regular household supplies, such as a flashlight, batteries, matches, candles, basic tools. I myself have oil lamps because those will last forever. And I'm a little bit paranoid because I work in preparedness. A lot of folks also have like your typical junk drawer that keeps a bunch of random stuff in it. What you want to do is you want to have one place in your home that has those essential supplies for emergencies, such as that flashlight, the extra batteries, matches, and candles. If you have to go all throughout your house to try to find all that, especially when the power is out at night, you might not be able to get to it easily. Finally, if you do have a large family or if you have kids, you might want to think about some games or activities, how to easily find those. It could be something as simple as just a deck of cards, putting that into that same drawer that has all your other emergency supplies, so that if there is a power outage or if there's the inability of those children to play like they normally would, you guys can do some games or activities. This is also a really good stress reliever for the family because you can get together and not be worried so much about what's going on outside and really keep everybody activated and motivated.
Alrighty, so now we're going to touch on a little bit more on people with disabilities or any medical needs. Like we mentioned before, it's important to have any mobility equipment close to you and available, secure, if you're having to stay shelter in place for an extended period of time. Also keep extra oxygen or any medical supplies, again, that you'll be needing for an extended amount of time. And then making sure that you have a way to charge all this equipment if it needs power or energy, making sure that you have extra batteries if it is a wheelchair or battery powered wheelchair, maybe having extra batteries as possible. And then in the case that you do need to be able to move, having car chargers and any adapters for any of these devices that are essential for your well-being. And then it's super important to be able to have any additional medications, again, for a 2 to 3 month period of time, if that's possible. And then you can reach out to your medical provider or pharmacy to see if you can get an extended amount of time for your medication.
Another key thing with this too, with those medications, is a lot of times you can save money by getting prescriptions at a 3-month interval instead of monthly. In some cases, your insurance company will have you pay for 2 months instead of the full 3. I had that when I was getting my medications at every 3-month intervals instead of 1 month. I actually saved myself some money, and I always had an extra supply. So that's something to consider. Talk to your doctor and your pharmacy. Some medicines, obviously you won't be able to do that, but whatever ones you can, it's a good preparedness item. So every family is going to have specific family needs. Maybe you have multiple pets. You have that python snake that nobody's ever going to want to touch. You're going to need to have a plan for that. Maybe you have ag or livestock needs. Or we have already talked about people with disabilities or medical needs, but there are also those occasions where you might have acute medical conditions or injuries. Say that somebody broke their leg, they had knee surgery or back surgery. Say that you have somebody in late-term pregnancy. In each of those situations, you're just going to want to readjust your plan accordingly, depending upon that specific person's needs. In these cases, the checklists are going to help you get some ideas, but really talking to the family about any specific needs for them might be beneficial. If we're talking about somebody who has mobility needs, such as a broken leg or knee surgery, as I mentioned, again, keeping those mobility assistance devices handy, close to them, is going to be very important. Maybe you need additional oxygen supplies for somebody who just had surgery and maybe they're on a little bit of oxygen. So consider that when you're doing your preparedness planning, any of those acute needs that are not long-term, they're short-term, but you also want to make sure that you're not leaving those people without a good plan. So I got a lot of questions when I was an emergency manager up in Park County. I had some questions from folks about how do you build a kit? You know, how do you start? Because I just don't have a whole lot of money, or I don't have a lot of time, and I'm not going to remember to do this. So one of the ways in which you can do this is you just take an approach of getting one item every time you go to the store. So what I did was I took this challenge and I decided to see if I could build a kit on a budget, see how long it would take me and see how I could do this. So what I did is every time I went to the grocery store, if I bought some canned green beans, I would buy an extra can of green beans. And I never picked up more than one additional item when I went to the store. So anytime I went, maybe I pick up some matches this time, or maybe I pick up a candle. And over time, I was able to build the kit that I needed on a budget. The largest expense that I had was the weather radio, which I mentioned is about $10. And again, we can provide that weather radio for you if you are on a budget. We really just want people to be thinking about the preparedness kit, what you need in your home, as well as what you would need to evacuate, so that you're as ready as possible. But if you do have any budgetary considerations or other special needs, please reach out to us and we will try to help you figure out how to make that happen for your family so that you are better prepared in the future. Anything else, Ricardo?
Just if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact us. Thank you again for joining us.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.